All right, shade tree surgeon, I'm calling you out. You recently did a video based upon the decline of the middleweight and lightweight class of cruiser motorcycles and placed a lot of that blame seemingly on Japanese cruisers. But I'm here to set the story straight, calling you out. Let's have a discussion about this. Let's go. Now, I want to start this off by saying, Shadetree, you did say that you used to be a rider of Kawasaki Japanese type cruisers, so I feel like this is one of those Star Wars moments where you were supposed to be the one, but you betrayed us. But no, for real, I don't necessarily think of this as a he said, she said, A versus B type of conversation. In fact, quite the opposite. I think if you ride a motorcycle and your knees are in the breeze, then you're all a part of this community, and no matter what you ride, I accept you for what you ride. You're out there with me. It's cool. But there were some things that Shadetree said that kind of rubbed me raw a little bit, and they're not because I'm an aficionado of Japanese cruisers or because I hate Harley. The former is true, the latter is not. But I take issue with some of the things that he said. First of all, I take issue with the fact that Japanese cruisers are lowercase motorcycles. He seems to insinuate that Japanese cruisers are somehow boring, uninspired, and are basically Harley knockoffs. And that kind of leads me into my next point, is that he really says that Japanese cruisers are all trying to be like Harley and are basically cheap clones of Harley-Davidson, which I would like to disagree with respectfully. And I also take issue with the fact that he says that some of these Japanese motorcycles were not designed to be better than Harley. They were just supposed to be like Harley and really didn't push innovation or anything like that. And it doesn't matter if you're riding a Harley-Davidson, if you're riding an Indian, or if you're riding a Japanese motorcycle. If you're using the stock lights on that motorcycle, you're leaving a lot on the table. If you've been following my channel, you know I've recently upgraded my headlight to an Eagle Lights 7-inch headlight on my motorcycle, and I am wowed by the night and day difference over the stock headlight. So that's why I've partnered with Eagle Lights in order to provide a win-win situation for my viewers when it comes to upgrading the lighting equipment on your motorcycle. Viewers who use my promo code can get a discount on Eagle Lights products from the store, and the channel earns a small commission in order to pay for everything to keep quality entertainment flowing your way. So if you're looking for an upgrade, head over to eaglelights.com/BurrowsPoint or use promo code BurrowsPoint at checkout in order to save 15% off your entire order. Now, let's get back to the Shadetree video. Now, as an aficionado of Japanese cruisers, specifically Kawasaki cruisers, I can kind of see where some of these arguments would have some basis to be made. I disagree with them, but I certainly can see his argument. But my main thing is that I don't think that Japanese cruisers, all of these things that came out, like the Yamahas, the Kawasaki's, the Hondas, all these types of motorcycles that were designed to be V-twin motorcycles, I really don't think that they were necessarily trying to clone Harley as much as they were trying to get in on some of the success of popular motorcycles in the United States. Now, it's no secret that we here in the United States, we love our V-twin motorcycles. We love that rumble. We love that sound. We just love it. It's a visceral feeling, and I get it, right? We're all attracted to that type of motorcycle. If that wasn't the case, then there would not be a market for Harley-Davidson, Victory, for Indian. There wouldn't be a market for any of these type of motorcycles. So obviously these motorcycles, there is something about Americans who buy these type of motorcycles, and then the other people around the world who buy these types of motorcycles. There's something about them that are attractive, right? There's qualities that are attractive. We want to buy these types of motorcycles. So to me, it would make great business sense then if you have a competing motorcycle company and you see the popular success of the V-twin motorcycle, why wouldn't you try to create something that was like that, that would be sellable in the market that you're targeting? I don't see that as necessarily trying to be like Harley-Davidson or to clone Harley-Davidson. You're just capitalizing on their discovery of a type of motorcycle that just so happens to be popular. And I think that what these Japanese motorcycle companies were trying to do is they were trying to tap into that and try to create a model that was inspired by Harley-Davidson, that was in the style of motorcycle that was popular, but to do so with their own flair, their own improvements, their own everything. And I think that's evident in the way that these Japanese motorcycle companies was coming at the cruiser market back when all the cruisers were popular. If they truly were trying to become knockoffs of Harley-Davidson motorcycles, every single one of these bikes, they would have copied the potato engine, they would have copied the Evo, they would have done, they would have done everything they could to make that an authentic Harley sound, except just put a Japanese badge on it. They would make an authentic Harley design and put a badge on it. That's what they would do. Instead, they didn't do that. A lot of these Japanese motorcycle companies identified flaws in some of these engines and thought that, especially since you've got an unbalanced engine, yeah, it's popular, but that's not going to survive long term. These Japanese motorcycle companies identified some of these issues. You have an unbalanced engine, even though it's popular, even though it sounds cool, it's not going to survive long term. And I think they took that into consideration, and that's specifically why they designed their own motorcycles to try to over-engineer them, to try to take this American V-twin concept and make it in their own kind of way in order to attract buyers. And anecdotally, I don't have any figures to back this up. I know there's going to be some people that probably disagree with me in the comments, but there is I'm not going to say I'm saying this, but I'm saying there is a viewpoint that some of these Japanese motorcycles, I'm thinking specifically of the Kawasaki Vulcan series, some of these motorcycles have better reliability than Harley-Davidson, have better longevity than Harley-Davidson, stay in the shop less than Harley-Davidson. There is that concept. Again, if the Japanese motorcycle companies were trying to copy Harley-Davidson, tit for tat, A to B, everything under the sun, then these Japanese motorcycles would have the same issues that the Harley-Davidsons did. There would not be a concept or a thought or an idea out there that somehow Japanese is better, more reliable, all this other stuff. They would be the exact same. So I really think that it's not as much as copying Harley-Davidson as reimagining it with their engineering processes, their everything, in order to build a better product, in order to attract American consumers. So in a way, I think that directly rebuts what Shadetree had to say. That is innovation. When you take an original design, an original thought, an original process, and make it better, that in and of itself, it may not be electronics, it may not be anything else like that, but it's on pure design of the engine and pure design of the transmission and all that other stuff, that's innovation. And I'm not really understanding Shadetree's argument about lacking innovation, about lacking excitement, anything like that. Yes, a stock motorcycle is a stock motorcycle. And yes, I will admit, a lot of Japanese motorcycles, when they come from the factory, they're muted. That's just to get import regulations, all that other stuff. It seems like the Japanese do operate under an air of out of an abundance of caution. So yes, if I was trying to get a product imported to the United States, I wouldn't be pushing EPA regulations. I wouldn't be on the cusp of what was required. I would be well within that margin in order to get my product into the United States. But once you get that bike, right, that's one of the biggest parts of the motorcycle community, right, is taking a motorcycle and making it your own. So you're able to accessorize, customize, do whatever you want to do. You can get that louder exhaust if you want it. You can get that power commander, eke a little bit more horsepower out of that motorcycle if you want to. These are all things that we all do to motorcycles. Even Harley-Davidson and Indian owners do this to their motorcycles. They get stage kits, they customize, they optimize. So to say that Japanese motorcycles are boring and uninspired and things of that nature, sure, yeah, the stock product sometimes is, but that's part of the motorcycle culture. Now, there is a point that I will concede, he's not wrong on just about everything. A lot of the cruiser style motorcycles that we're seeing in 2025 are a bit dated. And yes, the cruiser wars are over. Harley-Davidson and Indian won. So yes, the cruiser wars are over. Harley-Davidson won, and Indian, I guess, presumably won. But that's not to say that these Japanese motorcycle manufacturers are not producing motorcycles in the cruiser class. They still are. Some of these designs, I will admit, are outdated. If you take a look at the beloved bike that I like, the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager, the design is outdated. The Vaquero, the design is outdated. We're definitely on the back of the bell curve on that particular design model, and it is due for a refresh. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I've talked about this in another one of my videos, but if you take a look at some of these cruisers that are being produced by Japanese motorcycle companies, they are simple, they are reliable, they're great pieces of machinery. And some of these designs, because they're a little bit stuck in the past, they are reminiscent of a time where Harley-Davidsons were more simple machines. They focus more on the rider experience on that motorcycle versus all the knickknacks and gadgets that you could put on this motorcycle, such as Apple CarPlay. Now, if you're the kind of dude who likes Apple CarPlay on your bike, this argument ain't for you. Buy that Harley-Davidson, be happy, man. I ain't gonna stop you. But going back to that, to be able to accessorize, customize, make the bike how you want it, you could take one of these older designs on a cruiser and make it the way you want it to be, and probably do so cheaper. But getting back to the light touring segment where Shadetree focuses a lot of his efforts, we're talking about the Kawasaki Vulcan S, we're talking about Harley-Davidson Sportsters, and yes, it was a sad day when Harley-Davidson cut the Sportster out. That was, I guess, a root of a lot of their problems that they're having right now. They took away their entry-level motorcycle. So you clipped out the legs from the next generation coming up and being able to get into the Harley-Davidson motorcycle culture and community. Now, they are turning that around a little bit. The Nightster is definitely a great way to try to get back into that. But what made a Sportster was its simplicity, its styling lines, all of that stuff. And the Nightster's kind of a bad shadow of that. Now, I talked a while back, if you're the kind of guy who wants a Harley-Davidson, don't buy a Japanese motorcycle because you're going to be disappointed. If you have your heart set on that engine, on that Revolution engine, or you want it to be a certain way, don't buy a Japanese motorcycle. You're just going to hurt yourself. It's going to be bad. And when I say hurt yourself, you're going to hurt your heart, because it's not going to be what you really want to ride. These Japanese motorcycles are not for you. If you're a hardcore Harley-Davidson guy and that's all you want to ride, Harley till you die, these motorcycles are not for you. I would say Japanese motorcycles are more for the consumer that is more open-minded, is willing to try new things, is willing to try a different concept. Those are the types of people that these motorcycle companies are really pitching to. If you're diehard Harley-Davidson, they know they've lost you. If you want to try something different though, these Japanese motorcycles, all of the cruiser class motorcycles, no matter where it's Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, no matter what these brands are, they're all offering a variation on a theme of a classic American motorcycle. Not necessarily Harley-Davidson, but I guess by default it is Harley-Davidson to an extent because they are a classic American motorcycle company, but these Japanese motorcycle companies are not trying to copy Harley-Davidson. They're trying to do classic American motorcycle, and all of the models that they're offering in the light touring class are all variations on a theme. Now, I'm not a market guy. I don't know what the markets are doing. I don't know what the market is for light cruiser or even medium or touring cruiser motorcycles, V-twin type motorcycles. I don't know what that market looks like. But I definitely think that a lot of these Japanese motorcycle companies, they've created some really awesome models in the past. And I think that reinvesting into some models to make a really awesome kind of type of motorcycle in 2025 is not necessarily a bad thing. Refreshing some of these models, updating technology, things of that nature, it'd be great to help out, try to be more in parity with the American motorcycle companies and to offer a product that American consumers want to buy. Now, I will join Shadetree in lamenting the loss of simple cruisers. Now I will join Shadetree in lamenting the loss of simple cruisers that you can work on, wrench on yourself. And yeah, I'd say a lot of the motorcycle companies have lost their way. I prefer a simple motorcycle. I don't want all the knickknacks and gadgets, and if I do, I want to be able to put them on there myself and put exactly what I want to put on there. I don't necessarily want a whole bunch of stuff from the factory. But I would argue that a lot of these Japanese motorcycle companies, they're producing simple cruisers, simple motorcycles. They're still producing them because their designs, admittedly, are a little bit outdated. And so if you want simple, it's out there. It's just not Harley. But I will say that time and time again, I've looked at the comments. There's a lot of people out there who are saying this exact same thing. They want Harley to bring back a more simple motorcycle without all the knickknacks, without all the bells and whistles. And I guess that's calling back to basic motorcycle culture, right? We want to make our rides our rides. We want to customize our bikes the way we want to customize our bikes. So we want a simple, stripped down, affordable version of a motorcycle that we can wrench on, that we can do everything, whatever we want to. Harley has 100% gotten away from that. Marketing themselves as a premium motorcycle brand, trying to load up the motorcycle with as many knickknacks as possible. They've gone in the opposite direction from a lot of what their fan base really wants. So I absolutely can empathize with what Shadetree is saying. It's just what people want, man. I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you like as long as you're out on a motorcycle. I'd ride a Harley-Davidson, I'd ride a Triumph, I'd ride an Indian, I'd ride a Kawasaki, I'd ride just about any brand as long as I was on two wheels and out in the wind, because that's what I enjoy. I really enjoy being on a motorcycle, and I don't really care what brand it is. And for other people that are out there riding, if you like to ride, if you're on a cruiser, sport bike, or whatever, dude, I'm chill to hang out with you. It's cool. I like associating with other motorcycle riders. I don't care what brand or what badge is on your motorcycle. It's just a fun time to be out in the breeze. And I know a lot of y'all feel the same way. I've never met a stranger in the motorcycle community. I think we're the kind of people who decide to ride motorcycles. It's kind of interesting. Y'all kind of gel because a lot of us have a lot of the same outlooks on some things. It makes it easy to connect. But as far as brand preferences go, I have said, and I have always said, that if you have your heart set on a Harley-Davidson and you end up buying a Japanese cruiser thinking that you're going to get something similar, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. Buy that Harley-Davidson, live life, be happy, and I'll see you out on the road. But know that there is a whole class of motorcycles, metric cruisers is what I'm thinking about specifically. There's a whole class of motorcycles out there that are all variations on a theme of that classic American motorcycle. They're out there too. They're doing their own thing. They have their own features. They have their own personalities. They stand on their own 2 feet. And if you're willing to try these motorcycles, you might fall in love with them. I know I have. But anyhow, those are my thoughts. Shadetree, if you're watching, love your videos, man. I know you're down in Florida. I'm up in Alabama. I kind of fanboy over you a little bit, I'll be honest. If you ever want to meet up, collab, do anything like that, hit me up. Anyhow, thanks for watching, y'all. I'll catch you on the next one.